today on the call. Shall we? So excited. Hold on. Emily Heckman, welcome.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Kathy. I'm excited to be here.
Clearly, we're excited to have you. There was a funny lag there with your audio for a second, but then all of a sudden it caught up. So, would you do us a favor and give us just the Reader's Digest on who you are and your background in publishing?
Sure. So, let's see. I have spent my whole adult life working in the book business and in publishing, and I started my career at North Point Press in Berkeley, California a long time ago, and then moved to New York. And my last full-time gig, I was an executive editor at Simon & Schuster. And since, I think about 2002, 2003, I've been freelance editing and also writing, ghostwriting, co-authoring, and have had 9 books published by the Big Five in that capacity. So it's been great. It's been fun because I still get to work with my former colleagues, agents, editors, publishers, but mostly I get to work with fantastic up-and-coming writers.
Nice. The ghost writing that you're doing, is that mostly nonfiction?
All nonfiction.
All nonfiction.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I would imagine a novelist would have a ghostwriter, would they?
You'd be surprised.
Right.
But no. Right. No, it's, and usually I'm brought in by a publisher for the writing jobs, and most of the books that I've written are pretty, I would say, hard, what we call like hard nonfiction, meaning health, well-being, that kind of thing. Few celebrity memoirs thrown in there just for good measure.
Well, and just to keep things spicy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Okay, so I would love to start by, thank you for that background. I would love to start by chatting with you a little bit before we bring Mattia on about a topic of conversation that was going on in the group. There was, I don't know if it was an agent or I think it was an agent. Someone at a conference mentioned that editors, like yourself, hate it when writers send their manuscripts to editors before going out to pitch their work to agents because they feel like then that work is not representative of the writer's talent. Could you address that for us?
Ooh, yeah, that I would say I totally disagree with that. So if I'm hearing you correctly, the idea is that if you work with a professional editor before you approach an acquisitions editor, that you've been told that's not a great idea.
Correct.
It's the exact opposite, especially now in this current climate. So a lot of my clients, especially fiction writers, come to me through literary agents who say, this person's clearly got talent, this is a great idea for a story, but it's not quite there. So could you work as a developmental editor with this writer? And it's great because I have a really high kind of batting average of helping would-be authors get over that hurdle. And, I'll work with somebody for 3, 6, 9 months, and then the agent says, great, novel's finished. They pick them up and they sell it. It's a very kind of efficient process in that way.
So why do you think someone would suggest, or tell me why it's wrong that an acquisitions editor would dislike finding out that the writer had worked with an editor? Holy cow, it was tough for me to get that question, but you know what I mean, right?
I totally know what you mean.
Why is it a good thing?
Well, I think it's very different for fiction and nonfiction, and I can say this both as a acquisitions editor, a generalist who acquired nonfiction, and a ghostwriter, right? So often, nonfiction books are usually acquired based on a proposal, right? So an outline, sample chapters, that kind of thing, and they're often ghostwritten, right? So it happens quite often, actually, in publishing houses where then when the manuscript is delivered, it just doesn't match up to the quality of the very, massaged and polished and, overworked proposal that came in initially. That's a problem.
Right.
So a lot of of times publishing houses scramble to find a second writer, me. That's how I get a lot of this sort of emergency, rewrite of big books that are already scheduled for publication, or they cancel the projects.
But what about earlier in the process? Let's talk fiction.